Once upon a time, God took the world's most beautiful holiday destinations and rolled them all into one country. Nowhere else on earth is there such spectacular scenery or wildlife, or such welcoming people. A journey through Kenya is unique, so much so that it has its own word, safari. In fact, Kenya is a land of such spectacular diversity that you can have 100 different safaris and never see the same thing twice. Where to begin? Kenya has always been famous for its wildlife. In 59 game parks, you'll encounter a greater variety of birds and animals than anywhere else in the world. Here is one of nature's greatest spectacles, the annual migration of millions of wildebeest, gazelle and zebra across the Mara River into the Masai Mara Game Park. Every game reserve is a vast, open-air theatre of Africa in the wild. Kenya's wide-open spaces are home to hundreds of species that simply can't be found elsewhere. Kenya offers far more than a quick trip for the backpacker with a checklist. Many of the more exclusive lodges offer game drives for just 1 or 2 people.
How often do the elephants come down to the dam?
They just walk one night, they don't stop.
It's an experience for the discerning tourist who wants to gain a deeper understanding of the balance of nature in the wild. Kenya is also a paradise for bird watchers. Lake Bogoria is one of many that pepper the floor of the great East African Rift Valley. Within its shores are thousands of flamingos that come to feed off the life in the mineral-rich water. To the north, Lake Baringo is home to several lodges that offer walking safaris for bird enthusiasts who come here from all over the world.
We are in north-central Kenya. This region is called Baringo. Baringo is very unique because we have 450 species of birds found on these rocks. These birds are migrating from Europe to South Africa, and this is one of the places that they stop to get food and to rest during their journey. It is such an exciting place to come and see the bird life available, and there are some birds that are unique to only Baringo.
A novel way to view the game reserves is to take a dawn flight in a hot air balloon. To float in silence for an hour above the African plains is an experience never to be forgotten.
Cheers.
At the end of the trip is a glass of champagne followed by a full breakfast in the bush.
Cheers, everybody. Cheers.
I've never seen a country so conducive for ballooning as it is here. We came today over the Mara River, and we had the hippos, the crocodiles, a lot of giraffe, a lot of animals down there. So every day is different. That's what I like about it. Every day is different.
Even in Kenya's remotest corners, there's a choice of dozens of secure and luxurious lodges, often tastefully constructed to minimize their impact on the surrounding landscapes.
We do exactly the same game drives as we did before. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, this is fine.
The lodges are often very exclusive, catering for no more than a dozen guests at a time.
I'm sure these are my favorite animals.
A novel concept is the star bed. After your sundowner and evening meal, you can retire on a specially constructed gantry with no roof over your head. The mosquito netting is transparent enough to leave you with a breathtaking view of the African night sky. Many of Kenya's national parks, like Amboseli or the Masai Mara, are known all over the world. But there's one that's unjustly obscure. Most of what you can see elsewhere in the country can be found here in Nairobi. It's the only park on earth with this kind of wilderness, just 20 minutes drive from the center of the capital city. The coast is quite a different experience. 480 kilometers of sand, it's warm and sunny all the year round. More than half of it is protected by coral reef, making it very safe for scuba diving. There are national parks here too, but they're underwater. You don't have to be a diver to enjoy the riches of Kenya's marine life. Simple goggling equipment can be hired anywhere along the coast. Here at Shimoni, you can take an organized trip to swim with the local dolphins. The main town on Kenya's coast is Mombasa. Its oldest quarters date back at least 700 years. To wander among the tangled streets is to peep into the shuttered world of Kenya's Swahili culture. After dark, there's a unique culinary experience. Only in Mombasa can you eat a gourmet meal on an Arab dhow as it snakes around the harbour. Mombasa is dominated by Fort Jesus, built at the end of the 16th century by the Portuguese. Further up the coast, there are plenty of ruins that show how the locals lived centuries ago. The Swahili town of Gedi has been abandoned for 300 years, but it's still possible to wander among the streets and to hear about its past from a guide. Further north still is Lamu, an old Arab trading town famous for its deliciously indolent atmosphere. Here you can spend hours strolling along the waterfront or just watching the town go by. The painting of henna on the hands and feet is a common sight all along the coast. You can even have it put on yourself if you're willing to live with it for a few weeks.
This is quite heavy.
The Kenya coast offers far more than a lazy fortnight on the beach. Deep-sea fishing is one of several water sports for experts and beginners alike. From any of the main coastal towns, a party can hire a boat with an experienced crew to look after them.
Wow.
Kenya is less well known as a destination for skydivers. Every year, the blue skies and tropical warmth bring more and more visitors from the colder climes of northern Europe.
It's beautiful, it feels so open. You jump out and there's the blue of the sky and the jade green of the sea. You can actually feel the air get warm about 4,000 feet. It suddenly gets warmer and you know it's time to start thinking about opening your chute and coming into land. And then just flying around and listening to the sea roaring and the trees and landing on the beach is fantastic.
And the Kenyans are going for it now. They're winding it up in the last lap.
Kenya's high mountain ranges have given birth to many of the finest athletes in the world. These big open landscapes are great for horse riding all the year round. Tumbling down from Kenya's mountains are dozens of rivers that are perfect for whitewater rafting. Once you've summoned the courage to try it once, it's hard not to go back just one more time.
At first I thought I was going to be very scared, but then I had a lot of fun down the way, so I'd do it again.
Left! Left! Full right!
For those with more sedate sports in mind, Kenya has some of the best golf in the world, with courses that play host to international pros. A few days of vigorous rambling will bring rewards of a very different nature. Here on the slopes of Mount Kenya is an ecosystem unique to a landscape of high altitude on the equator. At 5,000 meters, the summit of the mountain itself exceeds the highest in Europe. Should you seek a unique cultural experience, you'll find in Kenya cultures as rich and diverse as the country's sporting attractions. Many lodges and hotels offer traditional music and dance, celebrating time-honored rituals that have been practiced for centuries. Both upcountry and along the coast, there are literally hundreds of handicraft specialists, producing sculptures, paintings and batiks that reflect their own ethnic background. Much of what they produce is purely ornamental, but there's also a great deal with a practical domestic use. Either way, if you're prepared to haggle, there's certainly no shortage of souvenirs to take home. Most people come to Kenya for the wildlife, the sport, the food, or the culture. But for some, the landscapes alone are what make this one of the most beautiful countries in the world. Whatever their tastes, Kenya is a land of such endless variety that it draws visitors back again and again. So Karibu Kenya and experience a different safari every day.